The internet has a very specific opinion about when your financial life is supposed to begin. Discover investing at 22, max out retirement by 25, buy a house before 30. By my age, apparently you're posting suspiciously relaxed beach photos captioned, "Money works harder than I do." I have never trusted anyone who writes that sentence. Because the morning I turned 31, I had exactly $187 in my checking account. Not after rent, not after some dramatic emergency, after everything, including the $12 I'd spent the night before on a candle called Money Energy. In fairness, it smelled fantastic. Financially, it had all the supernatural power of warm vanilla wax. I would like a refund, possibly an apology. Here's the embarrassing part. I wasn't irresponsible in the fun way. No yachts, no gambling, no flight to find myself. I had a good job, a business degree hanging in a thrift store frame, very on brand. And I paid my bills, mostly on time. I looked like someone who had her life together, which is surprisingly affordable if you're willing to put everything on a credit card. Looking and being are two very different hobbies. One Tuesday night, I finally opened the spreadsheet I'd been avoiding for months. The kind that starts with hope and slowly turns into evidence. At 2 a.m., I admitted what I'd been dodging for 2 years. I was spending $340 more every month than I made. Not because I was reckless, because I was tired, and tired people make expensive decisions. Nobody talks about fatigue spending. When you're tired, dinner becomes delivery, delivery becomes convenience, convenience becomes 3 apps quietly taking turns emptying your account. I wish I could tell you I had a movie moment. I did not. I closed the laptop and stared at the ceiling like a coward. Sometimes the biggest turning points don't feel dramatic. They feel quiet. The specific quiet of telling yourself the truth instead of telling your group chat a much better story. For a decade, I told myself the same story. I'll start next month, once things calm down. Turns out future me was just present me with slightly better skincare. Same habits, better lighting. That hurt. It was also strangely freeing. If my habits had built this mess, different habits could build something else. So I stopped trying to look financially successful and started trying to become financially stable. They sound similar, they're almost opposites. Looking successful usually costs money. Becoming stable usually means keeping it. I picked a number, not $1 million, not financial freedom, just $1,000. An emergency fund. No Instagram post, no dramatic before and after, just 4 digits sitting quietly, waiting for life to do what life always does. Saving it was less glamorous than I expected. I sold a designer bag I'd bought at 26 to look like I had it together. Paid $400, got $95. Depreciation is a scam, and I will be taking no questions. I canceled 3 subscriptions I'd forgotten I even had. RIP to whatever premium Zen flow was. I picked up freelance gigs on weekends and told almost no one. Funny how proudly we announce working 80 hours, and how quietly we hide trying to save money. One Tuesday I checked the account. $1,012. Not because it was a huge number, because it was mine. No bonus, no refund, no lucky break, just dozens of small decisions nobody would ever notice. I didn't post it. Who was I going to tell? My sister Destiny, busy explaining that her husband Trey's newest investment opportunity definitely wasn't a pyramid scheme. It just looked like one. I drank my coffee and carried around the quietest feeling I'd had in years. Not excitement, relief. Excitement shouts, relief exhales. Somewhere around $400 in, I'd stopped asking, what do I want to buy, and started asking, do I want to lose the progress I've already made? Behavioral psychologists call that the endowment effect. The moment something feels like ours, our brain values it more, sometimes irrationally so. For the first time, my savings weren't just numbers. They were something I wanted to protect. The next year, I automated $300 a month into an index fund before I could negotiate with myself. Automation quietly removes future Layla from the meeting. She was never that helpful anyway. Then my car started making a sound like it was auditioning for a horror film. The mechanic smiled the way mechanics smile right before they change your weekend. $1,600. 3 years earlier, that bill goes on a credit card and haunts me for 8 months like a vengeful ghost. This time, I transferred it from savings, paid the bill, and drove home. I wasn't happy. What I felt was steadier than happy. At that time, my brother Marcus leased a luxury SUV.
It makes sense for business.
He told everyone. A sentence he's been saying so consistently, I assume the IRS sends him a thank you card. Sitting in that car, I understood. The door closed with that expensive little thunk that whispers, "You've made it." For 30 seconds, I wanted one too. Then I caught myself. The feeling wasn't about the car. It was about identity, what economists call social signaling. The car wasn't saying, "Great gas mileage." It was saying, "Look at me." My 12-year-old hatchback just says, "Please check the engine." I named the warning light Carl. He's practically family. Not long after, at one of our usual family cookouts, I ended up next to Uncle Earl. His truck is older than me. Earl pays cash from a folded envelope like he's in a heist film. Everyone quietly assumes he's broke. He is not broke. Uncle Earl has more sitting in a boring index fund than Marcus's SUV is worth, and he's never once mentioned it, because generational wisdom apparently looks like a man refusing to explain himself over grilled chicken. He looked at my plate, looked at me, and said,
"You finally stopped playing."
No lecture, just one sentence. And somehow, he was right. For years, I hadn't been trying to build wealth. I've been trying to look like someone who already had it. Real wealth rarely argues. It doesn't need witnesses. At 33, the market dropped hard. I checked my portfolio every morning, every afternoon, right before bed, refreshing it like it might finally text back. It did not. Every instinct screamed, "Get out!" That's loss aversion. Apparently, a loss hurts about twice as much as an equal gain feels good, which explains why the internet turns into a doomsday cult every time the market sneezes. One evening, I asked myself, has anything actually changed? The companies were still there. So I kept my contributions running, not because I felt brave, but because I didn't trust my emotions with a decades-long decision. By year's end, I was back where I started, like the whole thing had been an elaborate prank the market plays on everyone with a Roth IRA. Around that time, layoff rumors hit the office. The Slack channel went suspiciously quiet, which in corporate language means everyone's either job hunting or crying in a bathroom stall. 3 years earlier, that would have sent me spiraling. Instead, I went home, made tea, and ran the numbers. 3 months of expenses covered. Not enough to retire, enough to breathe. One Sunday, my mom called, using her rehearsed voice, the one that means she's practiced the sentence in the mirror. The roof was leaking. Repair, $2,200.
"I'm so sorry to ask."
She said. "I've got it," I said, no calculator running in my head. That's when I understood what any of this was actually for. Not a number on a screen, but showing up for people I love without setting my own house on fire to do it. Then, my portfolio quietly crossed $60,000. I paid off my student loans in one transfer I'd imagined for years as dramatic. Champagne, maybe tears. Instead, I stared at the screen, smiled, and made dinner. Nobody tells you the biggest milestones rarely arrive with fireworks. They arrive politely, reminding you that wealth isn't built through one extraordinary decision. It's built through hundreds of boring ones. I still have friends spending like tomorrow already agreed to pay for today, and others quietly drowning while insisting they're fine. I don't lecture anyone over appetizers. Nobody's ever changed their money story because someone mentioned index funds mid-charcuterie. They change it the way I did, alone, at a kitchen table, when the truth finally gets louder than the excuses. So if you're 31 right now with $187 and a scented candle that scammed you, you don't need to become the 22-year-old who started early. You just need to become the person willing to start today. Wealth doesn't begin the day your portfolio hits some number. It begins the day money stops making every decision for you. That's not a tragedy. That's just Tuesday.